Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Story Darlings podcast. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Tera. I really want to say
back.
I'm back, bitches. But...
You should have said it. Tera is back from the UK, just all over Europe, rejoining the rest of us peasants in the States. How was Europe?
It was great. We lucked into a few things, and then I managed to hurt myself too. So, it was both bad and good. But we lucked into some fun things, including a Taylor Swift concert that we went to, and the House of Dragons premiere, which was really funny because, there was just screaming going on in Leicester Square in London. And me and Carly, being me and Carly, went towards the screaming to figure out what the screaming was. And I mean, it worked out well in this instance. But afterwards, I'm like, why? That's probably not a good, defense mechanism to go towards screaming. But hey.
I mean, the screaming was for Daddy Damon, Matt Smith, right?
No, he wasn't there yet.
Oh, he wasn't there yet? So people were just, going batshit?
Yeah, well, there's, a background set up.
Oh.
And, he didn't show up for another, hour.
I'm still jelly. I love him. I love him so much.
Yeah, I told Carly, I was like, okay, Carly, if people do show up, you need to try and get a picture with this person. And she's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, okay, but still.
Very interesting face. Very blonde. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So she was doing her best to get Sandra pictures of him.
Oh, she did
including
good.
Asking people around and hey, I'm looking for this dude.
I appreciate the sentiment. Y'all, Tera sent a video of them just capturing Matt Smith walking down, and you could hear Carly and Justin in the background, and Justin's trying to figure out if that's Matt Smith. And I'm like, you guys are so cute. So cute. But yes, I was very jelly and also very grateful for that little footage because I had FOMO real bad.
I still haven't sent you the other videos and the other pictures, but they got a lot of pictures for you. I think Carly has 100 pictures on her phone of Matt Smith now.
Yeah, I know what I'll be doing. You said you went to the Taylor Swift concert in London. Was Travis at that one?
No. Okay, so I went in Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
So it was her 100th concert or tour, concert of the Eras tour. And so I was hoping she'd do something really cool, but no, she saved all the coolness for London.
Whatever. You still went.
I know. It was still really, really good. It was rainy and really cold. We were not expecting it to be cold at the
in England.
Middle
no
of
way.
June. Well, no, it was under 50 degrees. It was cold.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't just a little nippy. It was full blown, we're freezing our butts off out here.
That's so weird.
It was unseasonably cold, everybody told us.
Anywho, we are not here to talk about Taylor Swift's The Eras tour or Matt Damon. We are here to talk
Matt
about
Smith?
faith.
You got his name wrong.
Matt
you said
Smith?
Matt Damon.
I said Matt Damon?
Yes.
No. Okay, it's because he plays Daemon Targaryen. God, my freaking brain. You know what I meant.
I did. We're doing great right now, guys. Our brains are on vacation.
Damon. No Matt Damon. We're not even drinking this time. Yes, Fate of the Sun King by Nisha Tuli, which is book 3. We've been doing this little read-along that started over on our Amazon book clubs. So if you haven't joined the club, we'll link that and go ahead and join there so that we can read along and have fun. But this book came out recently, and the funny thing is we received an ARC for it. We didn't have a chance to actually read it in advance before its release date. So we're just we're like everybody else, let's continue with the peasants theme. We're like everybody else. We're releasing this episode well after the book's been released. So what did you think?
we both had to get the audio because we were slow readers too. So
It's always, I feel like lately, I don't know if it's me entering a book slump or something, but I feel like lately it takes me a little more effort to get into the book, like for the first 10 to 15 chapters. And it's so frustrating to me. And an audiobook helps.
So see, for me, like I got into it really early. Like I got into it before the book was released.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
you were
Sandra's not
texting
like,
me.
I'm like, where are you at? Like there's something big that happens. But then Europe happened and like I couldn't get into it on a plane or like whatever. And so I kind of lost traction. And then when I got back, I was like, I promised that I would have this done and I'm not done. And when I feel like I'm on a timeline with a book, like my ability to like read it, I don't know, diminishes. And so like
Tara gets demotivated.
Yes. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to read this instead of wanting to read it. Yeah. And so I had to pick up the audiobook too. But I did appreciate the narrators on the audiobook. They did a really good job, I think. And I did figure out I was mispronouncing her grandmother's name because I was pronouncing it Cersei.
Me too.
And they pronounce it Circe. And I'm like,
I sound like
I feel like I like Cersei better, but hey.
Yeah. Yep. I love the actors, especially the one that played Gabriel. Like I liked his accent and just that coupled with Gabriel's like grumpiness. I mean,
it's you liking the grumpy guy this time.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked Gabriel. Granted, it was less like humorous grump in this book. It was more like I'm really pissed off about the situation that I can't do anything about. But yeah, I liked him. But I did like Nadir's voice too. So I don't know. They just did a really good job. Highly recommend the audiobook. Both Tara and I do. So definitely give that a listen too. But plot-wise, I feel like not much happened in this book because in book 2, Rule of the Aurora King, they ended with them needing to get back to the mirror. And then they spent this entire book just kind of practicing using magic and then like them figuring out their feelings for one another and all of this, historical stuff that happened before they ever got to the mirror.
Yeah. Like we don't get to the mirror until like three chapters from the end or something like that, like right at the end. And yeah, I agree with you. And maybe that's why it took me a little bit longer to get into this because it was more the historical side of like what happened way back at the first of the second life of or age of Ouranos, but then also what happened with her grandmother. And I am torn because like I wanted like to be on her side. I wanted to be on Cersei's side, but like that flashback that we see.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yes. And I'm sitting here wondering how Wolf loves her because like Wolf to me is like this like happy-go-lucky, like cute man who loves everybody, and then like Cersei, like that scene, I was like, she's up there with like Maeve.
Yes.
And I'm like, how did this dude fall in love with this chick? Like opposites attract? Like what happened here?
I mean, all signs in the first book or second book pointed that she was kind of a power-hungry bitch, and then it was just confirmed. And Wolf, it's like he was blinded by the mates thing, right? Just all he could see was Cersei, and he wanted to make the world orbit around her. Like whatever she wanted, he wanted to help make it happen.
Well, I was hopeful because there were some, like, I guess, red herrings at this point. Yes. That were like hinting that once she had the child, she changed a little bit. And then right after she got rid of the child, like she didn't. So maybe it was the child that was changing her. Maybe it was like, I don't know, like, Bella from Twilight, where the child was like making her a better person or something. You know how like Renesmee like made her like Jacob and Jacob like her. Like, yeah. Maybe there's some like weirdness happening with the child, but I was hoping.
We had a lot of hope.
I was hoping that she would become a good person and like shit didn't happen because of her. It just happened. But yes, we do see a lot of that, but then we also see a lot of the history, and it becomes more real and understandable about the priestess, who's also a bitch. So I was like not feeling very sad about her dying. But we see her in multiple forms throughout this book, and we don't understand that it's the same person until the very end either.
Yes. So the interesting thing is Laura started having these nightmares, or I don't know if she started having them
Visions?
or if they just returned. Yeah. But she kept flashing back to her past, 14 years ago or whatever, whenever this Fey woman tried kidnapping her in the woodlands, and then turned out to be this Chloris Payne, who was the high priestess of Zara, who I guess she has been just going around trying to ingratiate herself among like the Aurora King and now Atlas over in Aphelion, just trying to get her hands on these arcs, because this is what's so funny to me about all of the historical context is there's this like almost alien-like nameless entity, like many-faced, that kind of overrules all of these kings and queens. And so they had appointed Zara, this lazy-ass queen of Aphelion, to be this god for people and Fae to worship. And she's not even doing her job right. Like the magic is being drained from the land, and she's like just not doing anything about it.
Well, like, did they honestly think she would? Like, she wasn't even doing anything as a queen. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it's like a chick getting with a guy by cheating with him and then being surprised that he cheated on her. Like,
yeah.
Did you think she was actually going to do something? Because like she had proven record of not being.
Yes. It's like, yes, those relationships that end how they began. And so I'm like, who are these entities that thought that she would be a good choice?
To their defense, like she was the only one not doing a good job that wouldn't be missed on the earth. So like they were left with very few choices. Like the only dude who like volunteered for it, Herrick, which is the Aurora King. So there's like a long line of douchebags coming out of the Aurora. But the only reason he wanted it was so he could have more power. And they're like, no, we're good. And so then the only other choice is the useless one. So they were stuck between like somebody who's only going to use the power for his good and somebody who's like not actually going to use anything.
Yeah. Just a lazy ass bum. And so now I kind of pity Chloris Payne, like as wicked as she is and conniving, like she is just like scrambling and working her ass off for this goddess who is about to be ejected, is by the sound of it, like by the end of this book.
Well, and we find out that the reason that these things were even created was because of King Herrick. Like he created them to like get rid of her.
The arcs. Yes.
Yeah. He wanted her out of the picture, and like I guess these were the way that he could kill her.
Yeah. Like kill her or like somehow control
Trap her or something.
So there's the Imperium, so this weird entity that overrules all of them, and they created the 7 artifacts, which the way it's described is almost like a genie in a lamp kind of thing. When they just age out and die, is they're bound to that magical object, and their magic kind of just feeds the realm. And so they created these 7 things, but then it shows you in flashbacks that Herrick of Aurora mined some special virulence or whatever it's called.
I
can't say this word.
Virulence?
Virulence, whatever. And so he like mines that to try and like gain control of her. And like his scenes are funny too, because he's like faking liking her and sleeping with her just to get close to her. And she finally figures it out, fucking idiot, and kicks him out, which I mean, it was just a funny scene to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, as Tara said, he's the one that created these 6 objects, not one for his kingdom, but
because
6
he
other
had
arcs.
those stones.
Yes.
But so, and in his want for this power and in creating these, he somehow trapped himself in like that and became the lord of like the underworld, like is what they call him on Earth. But that's not what the Imperium calls him. But like he trapped himself in there as like the guardian of all of the like dead people, basically. So dumbass over here is trying to get more power and like gets himself stuck.
Do you think anything is going to come of that in this final book that's coming? Tale of the Heart Queen?
I think so, because like I said, I think she is gonna, well, I don't know if I said it on here, but I think one of two things, because there is a huge cliffhanger, and I'm not gonna like go too much
Why don't we just jump into it?
Okay, so there's a huge cliffhanger where we see somebody's heart stop, Nadir's heart stop. Like, she could heal her brother from being in a bomb. And now she has her full power and can't heal him. So, like, I feel like there's something going on. But anyway, I digress. There's some, like, loopholes here. But I feel like one of two things are going to happen, because right before that happens, the Empyrean had visited her and basically asked her to be the new Zara. And so I think this death is either an opening for her to not have a mate on Earth, and so she would take over the like role of Zara. But then she still has like her brother and her sister. But her brother just got his powers, and like one of the objects mentioned that he was the primary. We guessed of the woodlands, but maybe he's the primary of both, because he does have both power, right? And so, like, we've got a lot of room to say that she could go and be the new Zara. But, like, I'm also just thinking, like, her power was much stronger now, and she had the power to heal her brother from death's door. So, like, before. So I kind of doubt that he's truly dead.
Yeah, I didn't really understand why there was such a delineation between what happened with Tristan and what happened with Nadir.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, first off, she was hella powerful whenever she was in front of the mirror, and it just kind of tossed, what was it, the crown at her or whatever, because she gave it to him.
The arc.
It was like she was completely unlocked and just unleashed power-wise. And just like, it was an explosion as soon as it unlocked for her. And so she was so strong that whenever she was captured by Ryan and they were on their way back to the Aurora Kingdom, that she broke through those Arcturite shackles like it was nothing.
Which Tyr hasn't been able to do, because those are very similar to what Tyr had. And then also, I know I pointed out something to you, which is that what Tyr has been going through seems very similar to what Nadir's mom was going through too. And so I was wondering if he had access to these things, and he just proved that by putting them on her. So she can blow through them on herself. She can blow through them on Nadir's mom and Tyr too. So
that's a good call out. But I mean, as Tera mentioned, that was like the other bombshell that we were starting the book off, right at the very get-go, was that, oh yeah, Atlas is a shitbag. We all knew that already. And his older brother, who was the king, is still alive and is somehow just like shackled up, hidden from everyone. Everyone thinks he's dead. And the weird thing is, like, Atlas can't kill or have him killed, because then the
magic will go somewhere else.
Pass on to the right person, who we think is, what was his name? Everin?
Yeah. The cousin that is like doing a revolt for the like low fae. Erevin?
Yeah, that's how Tristan gets injured, is that low fae uprising. But yeah, Gabe is pretty much not having a fun time this entire book.
Because he's so in love with Tyr.
I know.
They're so cute.
In love with, but like, I mean, he's still getting his kicks off other places. I mean, understandable, whatever.
Like, leave it to a man.
Yeah. But he's still trying to figure out a way to get Tyr free.
So, Erevin is the cousin's name, right? Like, that was just so close to Erewhon to me that I'm like, wait, what book am I reading? Is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy?
Tara's flashing back to like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm like, wait,
Maeve, Erewhon. Yeah.
Like, I'm with Sandra. There was like a lot of slow parts where we do get the build up to the love, and we meet some new people like Hyleen and Narissa, and like it's really
We
cute.
see
And
some old people, Callius.
and we
Halo.
get the like Willow becoming a little more feisty, and that she is a sexual creature. That scene cracked me up so much, where she's like, I'm a sexual creature. And Laura's like, oh, really? What have you done? She's like, we kissed. And
That was
Laura's
such
like,
a funny scene.
Okay.
Yeah. That was such a cute sibling
And
scene.
then Tristan wakes up at that time, and he's like, just what I wanted to wake up to. My sister's talking about like being sexual creatures with the children of the guy who killed our parents.
Yes. Which, how do you feel about that? Because it's Willow and Amya, Nadir's sister, and then Nadir and Lore. I'm like, so you got two siblings hooking up with two siblings? I'm like, I feel like this should be weird, but maybe I'm making it weird. I don't know how I feel about this.
Maybe it's just that I don't think Amya, that sounds so wrong, but is his full sister. I think we're going to find out that something happened and she's not really his sister.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because of the way the king treats them different.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking maybe she has a different mom or something, because like Nadir's mom also seems very still more centric to him.
I hope something like that is the case, because I'm having a hard time dealing with this. Like, what does this look like long term? This is very strange for me to navigate.
I don't know. I think it's cute. Like they're forming, oh my God, their own little family.
Keeping it in the family.
It might be a little incestuous, but
through marriage. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, meanwhile, and then there's Atlas, the freaking coward, who just keeps delaying the ceremony with Aprecia over and over.
Well, would you want to marry her?
I mean, no, but
she doesn't seem like somebody I would want to marry either. But I wouldn't want to marry Atlas either. So
she's like Bridezilla.
Yeah. And then we do see Halo and Marisi again too, and I loved that scene because they wanted to know if Lore was okay.
Yes.
And so they asked, I forgot who they asked.
It was like Willow and Gabriel, right? Because Willow was doing like covert ops, kind of spying and getting lay of the land.
I don't think anybody knew that.
Oh, was it Callius?
I think it was Callius that had mentioned that he saw her. And Gabriel walked in and he's like, wait, shut up. So they asked Gabriel to pass a message. And Nadir had happened to want Gabriel to like do something. And so like they did a little birthday get together.
Yes. The birthday, one of my favorite scenes in the book, just because Lore has had such a hard time up until this point and has never celebrated her birthday all through Nestraza with her siblings. Like they just didn't celebrate that. They couldn't celebrate who they were or being alive. And it was so sweet to me that Nadir planned this little birthday party as soon as he found out her birthday was coming up, and then invited Callius and Halo and Marici like to all come. And then Callius, like she was going to get the scar removed from her face because that's what Nadir's father, Ryan, branded her with to mark her.
Which she just figured out because she thought it was somebody else.
And so she was going to get it taken off. And then it was kind of like that. It reminded me so much of like Throne of Glass with how Aelin felt about her scars, like so upset when they were taken away from her, right? Because those are proof of who she was and her journey. And so she decided against having it removed from her face and instead wanted the Nestraza brand removed from her shoulder, which I did like that. I thought that was a really sweet scene.
The scene where she like kind of remembers where the scar came from got me. It was very much Aelin in the mask where she like broke down and she's like, get it off of me, get it off me, get it off,
Yeah.
And then she asked her brother and sister if they knew, and they were like, yeah, but you wanted to believe that it came from helping us, and so we let you believe that because that seemed like it was easier for you. And that, like, that sibling relationship throughout this whole book, it was just so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, like, I can see, like, there was a point where Willow, like, loses her shit on Lore.
Yes.
About Lore constantly protecting her, and, like, how much that kind of destroyed Willow, too, because she knew she was at fault for all the times that Lore was basically raped. So you see Willow's torment over those things. And up until that point, you'd only seen Lore's torment over those things. I don't know. I can see both sides to that. I can see how it would hurt Willow knowing that Lore was willing to take that on for her. But then also, like, Lore's side of you should appreciate that I was willing to take that on for you.
Yeah, and Laura's the youngest, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a mixture of a pride thing, too, with Willow, because she was the older sis and she should have done more. So she feels really inadequate and guilty for what happened, too.
But Lore was the, like, more powerful one.
She was, yes.
She was the one who grew up not only knowing that she was the powerful one, but also, like, with that in her system. Even though she can't use her magic, she still, like, I think had the power, both the, like, mental power and the physical power.
Yeah.
I can see that. Unlike Nesta. Like, Nesta had no reason. Sorry. I'm calling back to Court of Thorns and
Tara's
Roses.
pointing at all the SJM books right now.
Yeah, like, I can at least feel sympathy for Willow and not taking on that role.
I was glad that she was given her little job to go sleuthing around Atlas's palace, and that she did such a good job too.
Yeah, and she had such pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cute.
Also cute was all of the jealousy at the winter ball. I mean, it's not a surprise. I like my parties in these books, and the winter ball, specifically like the winter kiss scarf, was like one of the cutest scenes.
So let's go back in some detail on that. So we escape the heart where Ryan's people attack her again. We escape it, and he takes her across heart boundaries to Woodlands, right? Mm-hmm. And they are met by Cedar. Or, well, shortly after they arrive, they are met by Cedar. And he's like, you didn't think you would bring my family back across the line and me not know it, right? And they're like, how did you know? And he's like, I had, like, wards put up that would, like, signal anytime somebody of the royal bloodline either left or came back. And he's like, I felt you guys leaving when you were taken, and I just felt you come back. So, like, he's been a sweet little old uncle who's, like, been trying and waiting for these kids to come back.
He's playing that long game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he didn't know for sure if they were alive still, but he was hopeful because no primary had shown itself for him. Like, and so he was hopeful that, like, the kids were still alive, so that, like, that was the reason he didn't have a primary, right? And it turned out to be true because we have a strong suspicion that Tristan is his primary, and that is why. And so Lore ends up going back to Tristan and telling him that, like, hey, I think you're the primary of Woodlands. And he's like, but I'm not that powerful. She's like, but maybe you are.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't know it yet.
But so, yeah, we see, like, I like that scene for those reasons, too, that, like, they have a family that loves them and that wanted them to come back and that missed them this whole time, but didn't know where to even start, you know?
Yes.
And we see, like, Cedar's wife also is, like, beside herself because they didn't have kids.
Mm-mm.
And so I think that they looked at those kids like theirs a little bit.
It was really sweet.
And the only reason that they stopped visiting them was because Lore's mom asked them to, because she thought it was getting too dangerous.
Yeah, which, I mean, it was.
Yeah. And so they didn't have a choice. They stopped visiting them because they loved them, not because they didn't want to be around them anymore. So, yeah, I thought that scene was so cute, and it gave me the feels for Lore.
The family reunion, and also Rhiannon, like them meeting and Rhiannon being able to educate her on what the hell mates are. And it's like, duh, Lore, how did you not put this together?
Well, but she didn't know mates were a thing. Like, when she figured out that mates were a thing, she put it together. She's like, oh, that's why, like, I feel this way. Like, she, at the winter ball, like, she got so jealous of him talking to somebody. And he, like, to her defense, he had a scarf draped over him. Like, come on, like, you're not
sir. No, sir.
You're not that obtuse that you don't know what that scarf meant.
He knew what he was doing.
Like, sorry, but no. And then he had the nerve when she did it to some other dude to like come over and like be like, get the fuck away from her. All growly.
And then he threw her over his shoulder. And they
we
finally
had some
did
spicy time.
Yes. They had lots of spicy time.
Yeah, and then we didn't stop having spicy time. I felt sorry for Tristan because he kept walking in on them. Because they weren't being like super secret.
But you know what? It's all the payback because he was Mr. Guy about the prison back in Nostraza, and his sisters just had to deal with that. So it's about time the tables are turned.
But how much of that was his, like, I mean, Lore was also sleeping around, but it wasn't all her choice. Yeah. So I'm wondering how much of that was his choice or his, like, wanting to create a safe environment for his sisters. And if people loved him, then they wouldn't want to hurt the people that he cared about. And so I'm not sure how much of that was like he wants to be sleeping around or he's like playing a long game of safety.
Yeah, it was mostly that. Yeah.
Because like, I mean, like if you looked at like how many of the girls attacked other girls, like there was a lot going on. And so maybe he thought, like, if they had a tie to him, he could protect his sisters.
No, 100%. And then there was a line later on whenever Lore was observing Helene. Mm-hmm. And Helene was just kind of watching wherever Tristan was in the room.
No, it was Nerissa.
Was it Nerissa?
It was Nerissa. Him and Nerissa get together. Well, not really get together, but they, like, make goo-goo eyes at each other.
Why did I think it was Helene? Because I know Helene bonded with Lore because she was also a sexual assault survivor.
Yeah, no. She and Gabriel have a little flirtation. Helene and
Gabriel has a flirtation with everybody at any given moment.
Yeah.
He's like in the
he's
brothel.
Like a man whore,
getting a blowjob, meeting with Erevan, who's also getting a blowjob, and they're like sitting there like scheming.
And that's right after he met with Tyr, and I'm like,
I know. I'm like, look here, man. Let me smack some sense into you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but Lore had that notion that, if Tristan could find someone that, like, this love that I and Nadir are sharing together, like, that would make her so happy after everything that they went through in Nostraza. So it was just so sweet. There were a lot of feel-good moments. Like, plot-wise, not a lot happening, but just a lot of holes being filled in and a lot of context being given. The relationship.
I think that's on purpose, unfortunately. I think she is building us up character-wise just to, like, pull our heartstrings later on.
Do you think Nadir stays dead and that Lore has to figure out a way to talk to Herrick in the underworld or something like that?
I think Lore has to figure out how to save Nadir.
Was he not dead yet at the end of this book?
Well, his heart stops, but, like, we know that doesn't necessarily mean that he's dead, right? Like, we end on the beats stopped. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that, like, maybe it involves going down and talking to Herrick to give him back or something. I don't know. But I think there are too many times that she said that she is not leaving without him and that she would do anything for those that she loved. And that was what the scar across her face meant to her. So I think that there's something to do with, like, maybe that's the way she gets talked into being the new Zara, is if she can bring him with her. If they save, like, if she is able to save them, because we did see that Zara had the power to unkill people, which is what she did to Cloris when Ceres blew it all up. like Zara came down and saved her. So like I think that there's something along those lines in that she is going to have to give up something to save him.
Finally, what do you think the betrayal was that his father kept referencing?
Okay, I have two theories. One is that it was a Maya that did it. And he thinks it's Nadir. Or it's somebody else who did it and he thinks it's Nadir. Or he has some sort of tracking thing on Nadir and he was just waiting.
You think it's like a fake betrayal, maybe?
I don't foresee Nadir betraying her at all.
The Amya thing is interesting. I feel like it was made a really big deal in the first book, especially just how much more the father liked Amya. And so that wouldn't surprise me if that is the betrayal.
And we haven't
That's a
seen
really good theory.
We haven't seen hardly anything of Amya.
Where was she in this book?
Amya.
Like, where was Amya?
Yeah. So.
Ooh, I think you're onto something there.
What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I've given up trying to theorize on
books?
any of these romantasy books, especially when like nameless entities and Imperium, whatever, is involved and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I thought they were going to be all seeing, all knowing, and obviously not.
Did you find it interesting that there were 7 faces and 7 kingdoms and 7 people brought up to like hold the power?
It is interesting that it's centered on that. And it almost makes you wonder if all of the former artifact kings and queens, I don't know. I feel like we need to know more about like what exactly the evanescence is. Like they keep talking about it. It's kind of like a heaven-ish type of afterlife, but not really. I don't know.
So what is your thought on the mirror telling her this can't happen again? Because my thought was it was saying like we can't have 2 primaries getting together again. But it seemed to not have any problem with Nadir.
I don't know.
Like it seemed to not have any problems the second go around.
I don't know.
Maybe it was talking about like it won't let him like basically shackle another primary and take its power because he'd already done that to Tyr.
Yeah. I'd have to go back and read it. It's like a little play on words potentially or something. Yeah.
And then what do you think about, was it the torch that told her that this, or maybe one of the artifacts that told her that her being with Nadir would only end in heartbreak and ruin? Is that what we're going to see right now because he died?
Yeah, it has to be, right? I feel like that's what she's going through right now. The way she was just raging at the end. But I mean, she's called the Heart Queen or Heart Primary for a reason. So something's going to happen. She's going to be able to fix this.
And okay, so bear with me here because the Heart Queen seems to be the most powerful of any of them in any generation, right? Like most powerful. And the heart of any land is like the most powerful, right? Like, so I'm wondering if she has some other abilities, like of holding people together, because so far she is tied to the woodlands through her brother and her uncle. She has a tie to Aphelion because he wants her, right? She has a tie to like Heart, obviously, and she has a tie to the Aurora. So right now she's just like collecting people to her side. Because I have a feeling if she releases Tyr, he'll be on her side, obviously. So I wonder if like some of her power is to pull people to her as allies.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I also wonder if Nadir's heart stopping at the end frees them of whatever prophecy or whatever that the artifact, you know, and kind of resetting it.
Hopefully.
If he's like kind of born again or freed again or something. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, and there's also the like added pressure for them of they have the arc now, but it doesn't do what they thought it did. So how are they going to bond? And if they don't bond, they both die. So if he dies, does that negate that? Like, will she also die because she won't be able to bond him, or a death of a mate like negates that?
Yeah.
Or is it like the dragons where like your mate dies and like you die kind of a thing?
Hopefully not. Hopefully it just negates something and then they can have their happily ever after at some point.
Yeah, there's so much going on that I'm like, I need to know more. And then we didn't get a whole lot of answers. I mean, we did to the smaller questions, but there's so many big questions that I'm like, I need the answers.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricate things now to have questions about.
We're going to have to see if we can get an arc of this.
Also, they've mentioned this a couple times. It is super weird. Like, first off, Atlas is such a dumbass. Like, we knew he was a dumbass, but he is such a dumbass to not recognize that his like arc object that they use there to give Gabriel and them wings, like that's the object that gave them wings and stuff. Like, there's just something really weird about that. Like, are they gonna reset Gabriel and them?
But very few people we've discovered know what arcs are at this point. Like, Ryan does, just because he's like, I think the whatever the stone is or whatever, like, corrupts people. And so maybe that's why Ryan knows what they are, because it came from his homeland. But like, nobody else seemed to know what arcs were.
It's probably why everyone's a shit back there. It just poisons their bloodline.
Yes. So I don't know. There's a lot that we're missing here, I think.
I just want to see how this whole thing with like Zara getting ousted as the goddess is going to go down.
Does she just die? Like, is she like, does she just age in like really fast now? Like,
are they going to pull her into an office and be like, so you haven't been reaching these metrics, so we're going to have to let
fire you. Does she get to go live with Herrick?
Ooh, that would suck for both of them.
It'd suck more for her because Herrick's a little bit pissed and he has some power and she's not going to have any.
I'm also interested in seeing like what the hell is going to be happening in Aphelion, because the way Gabe fought against all of the physical pain that he was experiencing from going against Atlas's commands.
And then he also like somewhat dies too.
Yes. I forget how he was like healed. No, it was because Tyr like broke the vow, like stopped it. And so that's what released him from that pain, excruciating pain. But that was such a moment for Gabriel. I was just like rooting for him, so happy for him.
So I also sensed a pattern in the leaders of different like regions or whatever, because I mean, Tyr is probably different, but the ones that we've actually seen lead, like Atlas and Zara from Aphelion, like they're worthless, right? Like worthless pieces of crap that are just out for themselves. You've got the Heart Queens that are like very powerful, and with the outlier of Circe, like both Amara and Lore care so much for their people and for doing the best for everybody. And then you have Ryan and Herrick, who are just douchebags.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a pattern in these rulers that, like, maybe it's the magic also of their land that makes them a little bit different.
It would make sense if Amia was kind of bad. And that was the betrayal. And Amia was close to Willow. And Willow was the one going around collecting. Didn't you think it was weird at the end whenever Laura's like, after the mirror scene and her powers unleashed, she's like running and running and running. She's like, this isn't what I was shown on the map. Like, this is not what the layout is supposed to look like. And it's like, that's what Willow got. So was she tricked somehow? You know, was it an illusion of Atlas? Was Amia involved? Like, maybe that betrayal that you said with Amia, like, maybe it is a thing.
Maybe I was rose-colored glasses, but I just thought that because she was losing her mind a little bit, like from the power and then from the shock and all of that, I got the sense that like Nadir was like just pulling her and she was like, I don't know where I'm going. But maybe
Yeah.
there was more to that. Maybe you're onto something. Maybe. But I really hope Willow doesn't betray them. Like I don't think Willow would.
If she did, it was unknowingly. Yeah.
But then I hate that for Willow if Amia was just using her.
Yeah. That's not going to help her confidence.
No. But so far she's the only sibling that hasn't been used in some way. So maybe this is to put her on par with her siblings.
There's no way she can't have any power whatsoever. Like, maybe it just hasn't.
Maybe she needed something bad to happen to her.
Yeah.
Maybe there was more in the childhood. Isn't that
the way it is with women? Like, all the bad has to happen to them before they just go straight dragon mode.
Well, I think, like, Tristan had bad stuff happen to him. And Lore and Tristan were both there protecting Willow. So maybe she hasn't had, like, something to draw it out of her, like Tristan and Lore have.
We're, like, theorizing and guessing.
None of our answers are going to be right, guys.
None of them.
We are just clowning at this point.
I don't like the name of the last title. Tale of the Heart Queen. It just seems so final. Like, and then she became a story.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
We'll see.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
We will find out in November. Hopefully we can get an ARC copy maybe sooner than we did last time.
Yeah.
Because I think we got it like a week or two before.
We're so bad at this, everyone. Just like...
We're flying by the seat of our pants, as if you've listened before, you know. So
life is really full. Yep. So we'll try and get it done. I mean, we're not going to be able to release it until the book is released, but we'll be able to at least read it and record about it. So we'll do it earlier. It's only how many months away? Like 5?
4 or 5?
Something like that.
We can't do math either. It's hard. Life's hard. In the meantime, we will be finishing the Everking series. So we will still have content for you guys. I think, wait, what book are we on? Have we done book 2?
The Everqueen. So that'll be our next episode.
Is that book 2?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have book 3, something about the mist.
The Mist Thief.
Yeah. And is that one out yet? That one's out, right?
Is today Tuesday? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's out.
Okay. So we'll have those 2 coming up and probably some more surprise things for me and Sandra at this point.
Yes, there's a Colleen Hoover book being adapted in August that you might have heard something about. It ends with us. So we will have to watch that movie and talk about it. My girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Tara's girl crush.
Yeah.
She's so perfect. She's like a burst of sunshine.
I feel like there was another book that I said we should do, but I can't remember at this point.
I don't know. We need to revisit our Amazon book club thing. So I'm sure we'll have a quick episode talking about some of the contenders for that too. So stay tuned.
Yes.
We can make fun of Tara reading some synopses.
Yes, I'm not very good at this. Well, I get too invested sometimes. I'm like, wait.
Put some acting in it, some drama.
No. I'm not an actor.
I don't know. I can't remember what the other books were besides Everqueen, Mist Thief. Somebody out there knows, but I mean, there will be more. Amazon Book Club had a ton.
Yeah. So we will have content, and then come November, we will likely have an episode on the 3rd book of this series, right? Is it 3rd book? 4th book. I can't even really remember how many books I've read at this point. So
Tara's brain is still coming to America, okay? She's in a different time zone right now.
Yeah. My brain is still trying. It's trying.
But we hope you enjoyed this very all over the place discussion of Fate of the Sun King by Nisha Tuli. It came out just a couple of weeks ago when this airs. And it's a fun, quick read. Like, it continues on from Trial of the Sun Queen and Rule of the Aurora King. And It's like so many parts remind us of SJM books and Fourth Wing, and it's just like breakneck speed. There's always something fun happening. There's some snarky commentary, so it's an
Lots of
enjoyable
love.
one. There is lots of love, a lot of like family love, and you don't really see a lot of sibling relationships depicted in a lot of fantasy books. There's always like, you know, an only child, an orphaned only child, or something like that. And so I really like seeing the family dynamics. It's just sweet.
Or ones who hate each other, like Akatar.
Yeah. But they learn to love each other, kinda.
Kind of.
It's kind of like a real family, right? It's like a real
They tolerate
family.
each other, right?
They tolerate each other. So until next week, we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.